That's right.
Hello, welcome to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook and I'm delighted to welcome you to this episode, whether you're a returning listener or this is your first one. Harmonious World is an independent podcast where I interview musicians and I ask them questions about why their music makes the world a better place. The title comes from a Quincy Jones quote, "Imagine what a harmonious world it would be if everyone shared a little of what they're good at." Alongside Harmonious World, you can read my blog where I review live gigs that I've been lucky enough to go to and also albums. All the links are in the show notes. For this episode, I'm joined by Joakim Milder, who is a musician and educator, and he's been the artistic director of the Norrbotten Big Band since 2013. And the reason it's particularly interesting at the moment is that Norrbotten Big Band are performing at Jazzahead in Bremen, Germany in April. Jazzahead is a fantastic festival that I've never actually managed to get to before, but I am going to this year. The Norrbotten Big Band is opening the whole show along with American duo Noah, which is Louis Cole and Genevieve Artadi. What you're listening to now is Hanging On by Cole and Artadi, and that is from an unreleased live recording with the Norrbotten Big Band. I hope you enjoy listening to my conversation with Joakim Milder. Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
Just fine. And you?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Joakim. Oh, it's a real pleasure to talk to you, Joakim.
Yeah, a real pleasure to be here. I'm honored, actually.
Thank you. Part of the reason for wanting to talk to you, of course, is because I'm coming to Jazzahead in Bremen and you're going to be leading the Norrbotten Big Band for that. We'll talk about that in a moment. But also, Sweden is definitely becoming more visible in the European jazz scene, and I think that's a fantastic thing.
I agree, and I think there's good reasons for that visibility.
Do you think there's something specific at the moment about why the visibility is becoming more intense?
Partly because of the, I'd say, quality of the music, and partly because it's probably slightly different. I think it's a kind of reflection of the society, a kind of openness to most things.
Yeah, certainly there are things we could all learn from Sweden.
I guess. I wouldn't say it's been progressing lately, though. So choose wisely.
Okay.
Mm,
Right. But I think that's true of everything. I mean, I think somebody put on something on social media the other day saying, the UK was great in 2012. Could we just go back there and start again,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Reset.
absolutely. So, part of the reason, obviously, you're Norrbotten Big Band and you are opening Jazzahead in April is because Jazzahead is going to be focusing on Swedish jazz. So, what are you bringing? What is Norrbotten Big Band? And you're with Noah as well, aren't you?
Yes, that's true.
So, what's that? What can people expect from that opening night?
As I said, it's an honor, and I think we need to display what this band is about, and largely what Swedish jazz music is about. Uh, so we try to show both the kind of cooperations we make, and it will reflect both my own aesthetics, I guess, and also I think it would be like a wide scope of what Swedish jazz is about right now. And I think the cooperation with Nowhere is a sign of that we bring something into us, learn from it, and put our thumbprint on it artistically.
Yes, because it feels like you are very open to collaborations internationally, which is, I think, I mean, one of the best things about jazz, I think.
I think we need to be that open because of our geographical position.
Yeah.
But it's also something we want to do. So it has been working in the past, and I think we just continue happily inviting those musicians who really make sense to us.
Your time with Norrbotten Big Band began in 2013, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah,
Was that the start of the band, or had it been going for a while before that?
it had been going on for quite a while, since the late 80s.
Oh,
So there's two predecessors of mine. So the one who's really the hero, I'd say, is Örjan Fahlström, who was the first artistic director. Um, and then it became Tim Hagens, who's also really a hero, who I'd say put the band on the international map because of his connections and because of who he is.
right.
So I just continued, you know. Uh,
Okay, so you've been doing that for 12, 13 years now.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So can you talk to me a little bit about your background? Where did you come from and how did you, because you've got quite uh, you've got your own international reputation as a musician. How did you start out?
I'm from a jazz music home. I was mainly interested in classical music for quite a while. So I started playing saxophone at the age of 14. And in that, you know, boyish manner, I suddenly became really, really interested in jazz, which I avoided until then. Then I had regular kinds of educations. In those days, I'd say in mid 80s, it was a very different scene, very different opportunities. So it really made sense to become a freelance musician.
Yeah.
But I also started teaching in '94. So I had a position at the Royal College of Music since then.
Right.
So that's been a huge part of my daily life. And I never envisioned myself being the leader of a big band
Yeah.
in those days. Absolutely not. So I have, you know, mixed emotions. I played quite a lot of big band, but I never felt comfortable doing it. It was like I'm attracted to, uh, you know, that kind of collectivity and being part of something. But I never felt really relaxed improvising in a big band situation. But I think that's also a benefit these days because I can relate to that, and it makes sense for me to make music which challenge the musicians, but they shouldn't feel restricted.
Right.
And it's also it's a main focus for this activities in Norrbotten to try to find new ways of dealing with big band. So I think my past is I can gain from it.
Right, but also you're bringing, I think it's always interesting when people have studied classical music and they come into especially big band jazz
Mhm.
because voicings and arrangements and things are all a little bit more familiar, I think.
That's true. And I teach arranging these days, and I can't really hide my preferences. Uh, so for I mean I written like hundreds of big band arrangements, but I never written like a sax chorus. I never use block chords. So I had that classical part writing preference, I guess. And it's something like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have a
yeah.
hard time listening to all those voices moving in the same direction. It's like a kind of society I don't want to be part of.
Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah.
So I'm really a counterpoint guy,
Okay.
not just because of musical theory, but philosophy as well.
Okay, that's fascinating. You kindly sent me some tracks, and I'd like to play a clip from Acid now.
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
So that's one of your tracks. So when did you write that? And did you write it specifically for Norrbotten?
Yeah, it was a project. I wouldn't say celebrating, but it was my 10-year anniversary. So it was supposed to be like a, nostalgic display of our recent different kinds of collaborations and projects. But just a few months before, I really sensed that I really like to write something new. And it turned out to be like 2 weeks of very, very intense creative bliss. So wrote most of the music on that album in 2 weeks. And as it is, I wrote it in one day, I guess, because I just
Wow.
started with that first little motif. And then you know, so it was one of the most fantastic experiences for me. And it says nothing about the quality of the result, really, but just being inside that kind of creative frenzy.
Yeah.
So it's very much like an improvisation, I say.
Right. I've spoken to a couple of other musicians who have talked about their writing being improvisation.
Mm,
You obviously can't do that when you can't tell a big band to just improvise because it would be chaos, but
no,
you can do the improvisation and write it for them so that the improvisation process is still an important part.
yeah, and I think it's about just follow impulses wherever it takes you,
Yeah.
and trust the instinct in the same
Right.
way you do in the moment as an improviser. It's like,
Exactly.
I don't know why this happened. I can't really argue for it or explain it, but it made sense in the moment,
Yeah.
and I trust it.
So, what can people expect to hear from you and the big band when you come to Bremen in April?
We're going to play two sets. The first set is productions we've been doing for the last 2 or 3 years. So it's one is a kind of celebration of Josephine Kronholm, who turned 50. We had a series of celebrations, and that's the latest edition. So we commissioned pieces from composers to explore the fantastic voice of Josephine and her mentality. So we had, I think, 7 pieces. And the other one is featuring Fredrik Ljungqvist, a dear friend and colleague of mine, revisiting early 70s progressive rock jazz, which I'm really fond of it, and I think it really disappeared. It was such a crucial time. So much fantastic music happening in the early 70s, and you very rarely hear it nowadays. So we played like Mahavishnu, we played Gentle Giant. Are you familiar with them?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So it's a few of their songs.
Oh, wow.
So, from a
Yeah.
time when everything was possible and you tried it out, and to have Fredrik, who is such an amazing improviser, put his character to it, I think made a lot of sense. So we're going to play a few songs from it, also included his own songs. Then we have 2 guests. So there's the Agnes brothers, 4 brothers actually, who is amazing musicians. They have a band, so they will use the big band somehow. We don't
Right.
really know right now how. And also Lisa Rylander, another fantastic saxophone player. And it's also a little unclear what she will do.
Right.
And then for the second set, it's our collaboration with Nowhere. We also had Genevieve Artadia as a composer in residence. So each year we have a composer in residence. And she did it in 2019. And that's one of the collaborations and productions I'm most proud of, because I really think it turned out so well. And also we made a production with Lewis Cole. And the very first collaboration was in 2017 with Nowhere, who I very recently discovered at that time,
Right.
thanks to some students in Stockholm, actually.
Ah,
So it's going to be a mixture of those 3
yeah.
Nowhere related productions.
It sounds really exciting, and it sounds like it's going to give people a real introduction to Swedish jazz. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think so. Not every corner, of
Of
course,
course not. No.
but many different ways of also dealing with big band.
Yeah, and heaven alone knows, in this economic environment, anyone that can make a big band work, on stage is, deserves
Mm.
kudos. So I'm really, really looking forward to starting my experience of Jazzahead by listening to you. That's going to be brilliant.
I'm also, or we are really looking forward to it.
Great stuff. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And while I'm at Jazz Ahead, I'm going to be recording some interviews and things for this podcast as well. So hopefully we can get to chat after the concert so that you can talk about what you did, and we can share a little bit about that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Joakim. It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for that episode of Harmonious World. It was really interesting talking to Joakim Milder about everything to do with Norrbotten Big Band and the Jazzahead opening concert that they're doing. So rest assured, I will be reporting back, both in terms of blogs and also a Harmonious World episode from Jazzahead. In fact, to be honest, I've looked at the schedule and it looks like I'm going to be doing more than one episode. So what you're listening to now is Trust the Light, which is a Lewis Cole track. So Lewis Cole is one of the performers in Noah that Joakim talked about. So this is Trust the Light from Bliss, which is Joakim Milder and the Norrbotten Big Band. So thank you for joining me once again for Harmonious World. Please give me a review wherever you're listening to this. It's very simple to click on the relevant button. It'd be great if you could do that for me, thank you. Share this episode with people. And also you can go to Patreon and buy some merch. There's merch on there and there's ways of supporting this independent podcast. That is Harmonious World. So I hope you have a really good week wherever you are in the world. And I have listeners in nearly 160 countries. So wherever you are, thank you for joining me once more. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.